Hey, crashes happen. It's just part of racing. Man, believe it or not, every one of these drivers survived. It's just part of the game. And the name of the game is win. And hey, it's also the name of our new show, Win. Hi, everybody. I'm Rusty Wallace. Each week, we're going to show you some exciting example of what it takes to win. You notice we have the same sponsor in the same time slot on the same network as Neil Bonnet's Winners. Hey, and that's not by accident. We're going to follow Neil's tradition. So here we go. Our story is about the legendary lifesavers of the NHRA, the Safety Safari, a safari of a different sort.
We had so many fires in 1 year that we named the car the Safety Safari Test Vehicle.
You don't know a racer out here who doesn't appreciate them. They're the reason we feel so safe and have confidence in racing for NHRA.
They're not part-timers. They don't have other jobs during the week. This is what they do, and they've been together for many years, and they know what to do. They've been through a lot together. It's a great confidence thing for us. We love them.
At a national event, it takes approximately 100, right around 100 people to make the event go. We got them from Kentucky, California, New York. We got them from every place. Texas even. We even let Texas come to the race.
We've got people with specific training in emergency response. We've got ex-firemen. We've got a lot of racers who, for some reason, have concluded their racing career but still have the desire to stay involved in the sport. And we also have our emergency response team who are professionals, paramedics, doctors, people who have professional training in that end of the operation.
Rescue is only about 2% of what we actually do. Mainly just for the safety of the drivers, but we also keep the track. 9% of just doing the track.
Well, we're here 7 o'clock in the morning, starting out by loading up the trucks. Each day we have to unload and load the trucks, get them set. We'll go out and do some track maintenance, make sure the track's all cleaned off. The crews will be down scraping on the starting line. And once the race starts, we go into position. We do everything from clean up oil to handle crash fire rescue calls.
We have 4 trucks along the side of the track, one on the starting line, one at the finish line. Our truck is number 3 truck, which is halfway down the finish, the shutdown area. And then we have a new one this year that we've just initiated that goes at the end of the track for a little quicker response time into the sand trap and net, area down in there.
And those trucks are ready, too. When we come back, we're going to meet some of the really colorful characters who man the trucks of the Safety Safari.
Win is brought to you by Allied Signal's Fram filter products. Fram, you can pay a little now or a lot later. And by Autolite spark plugs and wire and cable products. Autolite spark plugs, guaranteed for 2 years, no matter how far you go.
You always got to look good. Remember that. It doesn't matter what you do, but you got to look good. All right.
We got a lot of characters here.
This is president of ABC. Call him in now. Monitor.
Oh, Buster is a living legend, I guess, in his own time there, maybe. But he's our official starter, and this is kind of his last year. He'll still be around. He's not actually retiring from... He's just kind of retiring from the starting line. And he's on monitor now most of the time, except when the pro cars run, and then he goes down and starts those.
If everyone don't function and do their proper job, it can just mess everything up, Because everybody here, this is one just as important as the other.
Bring me a bag of grease sweep. Let's just camp this a little bit with some grease sweep right here.
Steve is the mastermind of all this. He puts these people together. I mean, we got 50 or 60 volunteer people of all parts of the country that he puts together and coordinates us, and his job is just to relay on to us, you know, what to do and teach us.
Come back, Bob. All right, let's get everything off the racetrack. I'm going to light cars here in about 30 seconds.
Call him Lefty, left-handed. He's white-headed, got a beard. He's been white-headed for years. He's from Louisiana. He's what we call a fire diver, our #1 guy. We have several of them, but he's the main one. And he watches everything. And if they have a fire in a funny car or something, he goes in after that driver. He'll open that hatch, he'll go in, or, you know, get the driver out. He's there to protect that driver, take care of him on that fire, you know.
These are 5-layer boots. This is a 5-layer fire suit that I have on, which is the same fire suit that the funny car drivers and everything wear. We wear the same helmet, the same, you know, we don't have the underwear on, but we're not subject to being exposed as long as they are.
Pappy is C.J. Hart. C.J. Hart, by all credit, was the operator of the first commercial drag strip in the country. He's 84 years old. He's as hard a working individual that is out there, and again, he's not along for the ride. If he feels he's not earning his pay, he's out of here. I mean, but he's a dynamo.
Where do you want your water? How many ice? 2?
Thank you, Pappy.
Need ice? You got enough.
He's our good luck charm. And he's a stubborn old fool, and he delivers ice, takes care of the drinks, the girls, whatever it does, but his golf cart runs around now.
And he's a legendary figure. He's in the Drag Racing Hall of Fame. Everybody in the world knows him.
Howdy, howdy. Good morning. The crew gave it to me, not NHRA, but the crew that I worked with. And you know it cost a few $100. They had to split in there. So, naturally, I admire the whole bunch. Big thrill. It really has been. And I turned around seeing this thing, I couldn't believe it, you know. I almost had tears in my eyes. Yeah.
That's Pappy. Guy's a bird, isn't he? Now let's go back to the 50s and meet the original safety pioneers. You know, in those days, it was called the drag safari.
Chick Cannon, he was one of the original 4 that started the Safety Safari, and he's here with us today. Safety Safari was started back in 1956 by Wally Park, and it was just mainly for the safety, preparing the track and the safety of the drivers.
Well, the idea was to go out and introduce organized drag racing as a means of overcoming street racing problems, because in areas outside of California, the hot rod enthusiasts, which is what they were, didn't have facilities and places where they could run and compete with their cars.
In 1979, at the 25th anniversary of the National Drags, I was back in Indianapolis, and Don Garlitz came up to me and thanked me. I said, what for? He said, because in 1955, when you were down in Jacksonville, Florida, you explained to me how to build a roll bar because you wouldn't pass my roadster for the inspection. So I explained how to build a roll bar. He went home to Ocala, built a roll bar, came back, passed inspection, and ran the race and won the meet.
I think the surprise is today, when you look back to those primitive days when we started and look to see how far it's come.
Well, when we got to 150 miles an hour, in 55, actually, 55, the engineers said impossible to go any faster. They work on their slide rules. There's no friction, all this. Nobody can ever go faster than 150 miles an hour. And when it got to 160, they said, well, maybe it's 175. Got to 200, you know, and then they finally gave up.
You know, the old station wagon and the trailer have been restored. and now reside in the NHRA Museum. You know what I think's really neat? Is that the guys who started this whole thing are still involved in the sport.
Win is brought to you by cold-filtered Miller Genuine Draft, making the world a very cool place.
Brought to you by Jiffy Lube. If it doesn't say Jiffy Lube, it just isn't Jiffy Lube.
This is me. And when it comes to scary rides, man, I've had a few. So I know firsthand how important safety crews are and how secure it feels for a driver to have them on hand. Oh man, that's me too. You're about to see some amazing rides and even more amazing rescues. And in every single instance, the driver survived, and luck has little to do with it.
Well, we all have racing radios, and we're on Channel 1. That's the main channel for the safety, and everybody, there's a monitor up in control. We control the whole thing from up there in the tower, the main tower.
Daniel, you getting all the safety stuff handled? Did Menard give you an attaboy when you called him? They're ready. If there's any accident, I'm sitting here looking. If something happens in our holler, they move. They're all watching down the track. We got swing. The driver of that truck better be looking at those cars at all the time. And his crew on that truck, you know, and all. They're ready to move instantly.
Don Gay at Denver here a couple years ago where he was knocked out at, and we was rolling towards him, not knowing that he was knocked out, and here comes the car back at us. So that was a little awakening.
We pulled it down at the end of the course, and Don Gay Jr.'s car was engulfed in the fire. And I jumped out of my car and went over to help. But if it wasn't for the safety safari, actually getting in there and doing 90% of the work, I don't think Don Gay would have came around. I think we'd have lost him.
I don't believe a man will run into a fire to make a paycheck, and these guys are paid good out here, but bottom line, they do it to, you know, you ought to see them. I mean, I watched them with the young kid at Denver that had a fire when Don Perdome ran over and lifted the body, and those guys were jumping right in the heat of the fire and the smoke. I mean, like, why do you want to do that? I'm inside trying to get out. They're trying to get in, and it's unbelievable. And they saved that young kid from Houston's life at Denver.
I saw professional people at work, people that didn't panic, that got in there and got the job done. You know, a lot of people can get in there and work, but not a lot of them get in there and work and know what they're doing. The safety safari, in my opinion, kept things under control, got Don out of the car just as soon as they could, and they just did a great job.
Okay, get on the ground. It's on the ground. Get his helmet on. Let's get the helmet off.
If I'm in trouble, I know that they're the best in the business and they're going to be there. And I'm not just saying that. I can say it from factual experiences in 2 occasions where we've had tremendous crashes, and the first thing that was there was one of those guys right there with me. And believe me, it's a great feeling from a driver's point of view to have those guys out there, knowing that they do it every week. This is not a hobby with them. This is their business.
We'll try to start attacking the fire before we actually stop and get off of the vehicle. Lefty will have the hose going, and we'll try to get at least some water in on the driver even while the car's still moving before he has an opportunity to get out, so we can start cooling him off and minimize the chance of him getting burned.
Yeah, over backwards at 270 miles an hour. In fact, I went vertical through the light at 256 miles an hour. Went through the air about 1/8 of a mile before the car came back down. And by the time that car stopped sliding, and it was on fire at the time, one of the guys was right there sticking his face in there, and I was fixing to get out. He said, no, just sit there for a minute, Ed. He said, you may be hurt and not even realize it yet. And that sounded like that made sense. So I sat there until I saw the car was on fire, and I said, no, I believe I'll go ahead and get out. So I unbuckled and stepped out.
have the safety rules we have and everything, you know, they would be in bad shape. But as long as they follow our safety rules and do what's supposed to be done, and right equipment, 99.9% of the time they'll walk away from it.
Thanks a lot, guys, for taking care of us for so many years and for doing such a fantastic job. You know, without you guys doing that like you do, well, we couldn't do what we do, and we appreciate it.
Promotional consideration for Win is provided by Sony.
Sony ESP electronic shock protection protects your music from almost any jumps, skips, or sudden stops. In the Sony Car Discman CD player.
And Stock Car Racing Magazine. Subscribe to the world's most popular racing publication at the one-year discount price of $14.97. Call toll-free 1-800-333-2633. And by Allied Signals Bendix Brakes, the best-known name in brakes. Autolite presents Force in Your Face.
You know what, Rusty? I was just about to start getting aggravated at you because I had to watch all those shows about those rich and famous NASCAR guys, their money, their yachts, their airplanes. But right in the middle of it, you give me this show on Safety Safari, the guys that I know and love. And let me tell you something. You see this helmet that says no fear? Well, don't believe it, folks, because there's a whole lot of it. Them boys have been there when I've been on fire, and they have drugged me out, along with a lot of drivers. They saved our lives. We love them. They dedicate themselves. These fire suits, these helmets are not enough. Trust me, when she's ablaze at 300 miles an hour, you need them boys there to get you out. And that's why John Force and all of us drivers love you. And that's the truth.
John, I'll tell you what, I couldn't agree with you any more. Man, you're dead right on that statement. But I'll tell you what, the thing that I can't understand, what about all this money you're talking about these NASCAR drivers have got? Man, I'm not the one that's got the multi-million-dollar home, all of the exotic cars, the million-dollar race shops, and all these toys you've got. Man, I don't want to hear this stuff no more. Get out of here. The weekend our crew spent at the drags in Pomona was a wild one for the Safety Safari crew. Watch this, man. It was awesome.
All right, let's go.
Well, Billy, they were reviewing the replay trying to make
driver wasn't injured. It just ends up that his door was up against the guardrail, so we had to go around the other side to get him out. And luckily, he wasn't hurt at all, so it was just an opportunity of getting him, making sure he was okay, and then he climbed on out. And we just have the ambulance crew and the doc check him over, make sure he's okay. Back to racing.
We're sitting up here in our full gear for the funny cars. They're the first rows to run today.
Well, we're just going to put it in gear and be ready to stab it and go.
Well, Mark had a fire on his. It looked like it lit up about 100 feet, a couple hundred feet off the starting line. And we got to him, and he was coming out of the car. The biggest problem was he wasn't burning anything. The biggest problem was he just couldn't breathe, needed some oxygen. So they got him in the ambulance now, getting him some oxygen, and everything's okay.
On a dragster or a funny car, if you see the tires start going down, you know it's going to be an accident.
It's been a quite busy weekend. I don't know where we planned this especially for y'all or what, but we hope we don't have any more of these for the next coming months.
Well, sometimes we have many incidents and sometimes we have none. But fortunately for us, at least everyone has been able to get away relatively unscathed. We had very minor injuries this weekend, so we're very happy about that. So, Rusty, now do you understand what we do out here?
Boy, you bet I do. And I've been a big fan of the Safety Safari for years. Maybe now you've got a better idea why these folks are the unsung heroes of the NHRA. I'd like to thank everybody for watching our premiere episode of Win, and we'll see you next week.
Win is brought to you by Allied Signals Fram filter products. Fram, you can pay a little now or a lot later. And by Autolite spark plugs and wire and cable products. Autolite spark plugs, guaranteed for 2 years, no matter how far you go.